We live for Saturday. Hey there, all you hip cats, cool kittens, guys and dolls, friends and foes. Good morning, multiverse. This is Back in the Cereal Box, the pop culture podcast that celebrates the fun of the Saturdays of our youth while sharing what we love today. I am your host, the prophet of pop culture, John Pyka. You can call me Johnny Beyond if you dare. And this morning, we are going to be discussing the 1986 animated series M.A.S.K. And what is the deal with M.A.S.K? And we're going to do that with the help of my co-host this morning. She is your wife's favorite redhead. She is an amazing cosplayer and photographer and artist, and she is getting ready for M.T.A.C. as we speak. Middle Tennessee Anime Convention that's happening next weekend in Nashville, Tennessee. Please welcome Aubrey Cavitt.
Good morning,
Aubrey.
How's everybody doing this morning?
Everybody is fine. I said 1986. This is 1985 animated series M.A.S.K. The what does M.A.S.K stand for? The Mobile Armored Strike Command with a K. And we're going to be discussing it this morning and talking all about it. And for those of you who are in the audience, you can join us in the chat, leave us a comment, and we will react. You get to be a part of the show. Like this morning, Dave Mattingly says, "Good morning, Box Tops."
Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Dave. And he is one of our Cereal Box super friends who make this show possible.
Good
along
morning,
with
guys.
Eli Cash, Phoenix Sisters Cosplay, Sharice Collins, Dave Mattingly, Valerie Davidson, Jeremy Bell, Day One Comics, George Soroy, Larry Amiet, Elliot Latham, Robert Alsop, Clyde Hall, and Jeremy Bell. I need to add his name to the card. And you guys can get your name on that card in lights by joining them on Patreon at patreon.com/cerealboxpodcast. This show is also brought to you by Tales of the Decoverse, available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Volume 3 and on its way any moment. Aubrey, I'm having a little bit of a tang-tungle this morning. I haven't had my Diet Coke. I'm not having my caffeine this morning, so I'm a little bit I don't know. I'm a little bit slow on the draw.
I got my coffee in here this morning, so.
Excellent. Well, for those of you who have never seen or heard the show, we are Back at the Cereal Box. We are a pop culture podcast that celebrates the fun of the Saturdays of our youth while sharing what we love today. And when I was a kid, we didn't have iPhones or tablets at the breakfast table. We were watching cartoons, reading comic books, watching kaiju movies, pro wrestling, kung fu movies, up until about noon or 1 when Mom would kick us out and we'd have to spend all day outside of the house until the sun went down and the streetlights came on. But in between cartoons, comic books, and kaiju, we were reading the back of the cereal box because we didn't have those iPhones or tablets. And that was like our newspaper. And that's where we were introduced to the rest of the world and a lot of the geek pop culture that we love today. And by the way, Aubrey, this morning, I've got in my bowl Post Waffle Crisp. And this is, it smells like Eggo waffles with butter and syrup.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it's by Post. And the back of this box has all kinds of fun games, riddles, fun facts of waffles through history. It's a really fun Post. You know, I want to give Post some credit. Post does the Fruity Pebbles cereal that I love so much. They are really keeping the tradition of great cereal boxes, backs of cereal boxes alive with games and fun stuff.
You're right, because there is activity on there so that if you're sitting at the table and you need something, I was the ADHD kid, so I needed something to keep my brain active and engaged. So that would, looking at all those pictures, reading it, that would definitely help.
Actually, you know what, Aubrey? You mentioned ADHD last week. I don't think you are ADHD. I think you have hyperfixation, which is very different.
Definitely part of it. But the benefits to the medication that I am on is that it does quiet my ADHD to the point of other people being able to tolerate it. But between my knee jiggles and my hand movements and the racing thoughts and many, many other things, it took many, many years for me to come to accept the ADHD toleration. Oh, Fruity Pebbles bowl this morning.
Yes. So even though I don't have Fruity Pebbles, I am keeping the post cereal theme alive with the Fruity Pebbles bowl. And I've poured the walnut waffle crisp. Although I bet you it would taste great with walnuts. And I'm gonna take a big spoonful. Aubrey, what's in your bowl?
Well, as you can see in my background here, Johnny, because the cereal fairy bought an enormous box and an enormous, mind you, box, which, you know, again, will show the lovely artwork on the back. You could take this off and put it on the wall if you wanted to. I'm gonna have some Reese's Puffs again today. And unfortunately, I have my noisy spoon instead of my plastic purple one because I can't find it. But okay. I will say there is a two-tone to this. If you have not eaten this cereal and you go to dump it out and you're like, wait, why there is two colors. Remember, Reese's has the shell and the inside. So I'm just saying.
The peanut butter and the chocolate. Hey,
it's good.
You got your peanut butter in my chocolate. You got your chocolate in my peanut butter. Does anyone else remember those commercials?
Or
is it just me? That is a fixation, or that was a big part of Gen X. So Aubrey's chowing down once again on the Reese's Puffs. Oh, what's along the side? Is this something you just now noticed for the first time?
I just noticed this. So apparently the backgrounds you can turn into a poster because they have a series of 7. It's actually pretty cool. If I was a bigger fan of Dragon Ball Z, or if you are a big fan, collect them all. I mean, I remember when we were kids and there were some of us that wanted to collect all the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
We would cut them out and keep them. That was the thing. So here you go for Dragon Ball Z collectors. Back of the cereal box, literally, for keepsies.
Yeah. You know, a lot of times they would have those posters, like frameable posters on the back, or they would actually include a full-size poster inside the box. You know, that was the prize, and you unfolded it and you could put it up. But you know what I loved when they would print on the back of the boxes was masks that you cut out and you put a piece of string and you had a cardboard mask of your favorite character, or they never lasted more than 5 minutes, but
no, they didn't. But
it was a lot
like
of fun.
Early cosplay. If you guys wore that and you're in the chat, let us know. Did you wear the cutout cardboard masks that we wore? Because I totally did that at least a few times. I would get in trouble though, because I wouldn't always wait until the box was empty. I'm going to cosplay now. Can you tell, guys, for the record?
That's why, Aubrey, that's why they put the cereal in a bag in the box.
Right?
Somewhere along the line, some kid just cut out whatever it was from the back of the box, and all the cereal was all over the floor, all over the house, and they got a letter from some mom. How dare you? Tell my kids
into like 4 bowls, right?
Yeah. And so they start. I'm sure that's how it started. Now, here's the one thing: we are now in 2024. You would think that someone from Ziploc would talk to the cereal companies and create Ziploc closures on the bags inside the box. I that's all I'm saying. And when they, when you're trying to open the bag to start with, it's a struggle. They seal these things so well you could store nuclear waste in them. Just post, Ziploc, get together. For the love of God, please.
So there was a big boom in the plastic industry. If you remember when we were kids, Tupperware. Okay, was a huge thing. Tupperware parties were a big thing with a lot of ladies and families. I'm sorry, I'm very obsessed with my dyed hands right now. Guys, for the record, I'm sorry. This is from dyeing clothes and other objects for the convention.
Do not
wear
apologize.
Gloves. Always wear gloves.
Do not apologize for your craft,
for
your art.
I'm apologizing for the fact that I didn't do it in a responsible way. Always wear gloves when you're dyeing your hair or your whatever else might need dyeing.
Live life on the edge.
Yeah,
you only live once.
Fingers.
It's a story. Look, you go to the grocery store, you hand them the money, and they notice your hands are green, and they give you this look, and they're wondering, and you say, "Ooh, I'm a cosplayer, and I've been dyeing fabric all week." It's a story. It gives you a story. It's a conversation moment. So never apologize for those moments. But Tupperware parties, see, here's your ADHD, and I just derailed you.
Oh, you did. So
make sure you burp it.
The burping, yes, the burping. So they used to put cereal. When people started complaining about that, they made cereal pasta versions of the containers. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Still have them.
Guess what I have in my kitchen? I have 2, and they're holding the milkshake Frosted Flakes because I refuse to let go of them.
So one of our, hey, that's good. Those are great cereals. So one of our former co-hosts is an organization specialist.
Ooh.
And she hates cereal boxes in her pantry. So she would take the cereal, she would dump them into those Tupperware storage containers, and they're all neatly arranged in her pantry. And what she would do is she would cut off like the corner of the box, or right here, this part of the box that had what the cereal was, and she would glue it to the front or tape it to the front of the Tupperware thing. That's
a great idea.
Well, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work.
If you have the time, it's a great idea.
Look, all you got to do, kids, here's Johnny's organizational tip. You roll the bag, and you roll the bag in, and you put it back in. You can even put a chip clip on it if you're really, want to be really, or a clothespin. You close the box, and guess what? It takes up this much shelf space, and you can have them, or if you want a really pretty display with that side, you can have them, in neatly arranged in the box. You don't have to take them out of the box and pour them in another container just because. Anyway, that's my adulting tip of the day. You're welcome. So we got some audience comments, Aubrey. Zentron says, good morning, fellow cereal boxers. Good morning. Chris Walker is chiming in from Chattanooga. He says, wish the show lasted longer. And he's not talking about our show. He's talking about M.A.S.K. From 1985. Because it only lasted 2 seasons.
Yeah.
But you know what? That was kind of the norm. Tabby Cat is with us this morning. She says, good morning, peeps. And Chris Walker says, I still remember the name Bruce Sato.
Magic. They called him
by the way.
Magic too. Like, that was pretty cool.
Well, you know what? I don't remember. I'm going to confess something before we even get to the topic. I never watched this show when it was first on. What? Look, I was 15. I was turning 16. I was doing other things. So I only had a vague recollection of it. And I watched 4 episodes this week. And I can't tell you the name of one character except for Stryker. but we're going to get to that later on. Skylor Productions, Willow Skylor says, "Good morning, everyone. Sorry I'm not able to do the show again. I'm getting ready for work. It's adoption week at PetSmart.
Ooh,
So if you've been
fuzzies.
thinking about getting a pet, go to PetSmart. It's adoption week, and they're going to have cats and dogs, and maybe even ferrets. And are monkeys legal in Canada?
Good question. Good
Yeah.
question.
Okay, so
Chipookins are cute.
no, listen, capuchin monkeys are cute, but they get vicious as they get older.
That's
And
true.
and if you don't have them defanged, which is cruel, they have a nasty bite.
Sorry, I
Anyway,
just came up with a joke about blue hairs in Florida. You know, you take them to Florida, they're defanged.
oh my goodness. But there are some other great monkeys that make even better pets than capuchins. But I don't know why I was researching this week, Aubrey, but there are several states in the United States where owning a monkey is completely illegal under no circumstances. There are some states where it's perfectly legal. There are no restrictions at all. Like Ohio.
What?
Ohio, it's perfectly legal to own a monkey.
Ohio,
No any kind of
own
monkey.
monkeys.
Any kind of monkey. You can own a chimpanzee, a gorilla, orangutan. There's no restrictions. In Tennessee, why do I know this? In Tennessee, because I want a monkey, is why. In Tennessee, it's restricted. It's not banned, but it's restricted. You can only own certain breeds, and you have to have a permit and all that stuff. So, I want to know though, Willow, in Canada, is it province by province? Is it nationwide? Are you allowed to own a monkey, and do you sell them at PetSmart? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. What kind of things are you allowed to sell at PetSmart in Canada that we're not allowed to have here?
And speaking of exotic animals, on Sunday, I went out to Plaza Mariachi here in Tennessee for lunch. It's a great spot. But outside, they were doing a street fair, and right at the front of the street fair, at the flea market, was someone selling parrots. They had cages and cages of parrots. How cool is that?
I prefer snakes.
Well, but
parrots can fly and poop on your head.
They could, but I mean, come on. You just go to an outdoor street festival market and pick up a parrot to take home? How
Johnny,
cool is that?
Are you secretly a pirate? Is that what's going on?
No, I am secretly a cowboy, but that's another story.
He wants something for his shoulder. It's either a parrot or a monkey. Come on,
I want
guys.
a monkey.
You see the pattern.
I'm desperate for a monkey on my shoulder. I'm not lying. I've been fascinated with monkeys since I was a kid. Zentron says, coming at you live from inside a 170-year-old disused railroad tunnel. Well, I'm stood just in the mouth. The Wi-Fi signal is not good inside too deep. All right, Zentron.
So cool.
We need to know this story. You need to share this story. Why are you there? I want to know. So Dave Mattingly says, have fun at M.A.S.K. It's next weekend. Weekend. Aubrey will not be with us unless she's able to find a place to go live from M.A.S.K.
I will try.
No pressure. No pressure. What I would rather you do.
M.A.S.K. is kind of like my Vegas vacation.
Yeah. What I would rather you do is take a lot of pictures and video and share them with us.
Okay.
You are going to take over No Fan Left Behind. It's a segment that we do whenever we go to cons. No Fan Left Behind. You're going to help fans experience M.A.S.K. without being able to be there.
Okay. Sounds like fun. And if you're going to M.A.S.K, say hi to me. I will be in multiple outfits. Starting Thursday, I'm going to be there. We're going to start decorating the hotel room Thursday night. Like, I'm hardcore about this. So I've got a lot of lights and decorations. We're gonna make it look amazing.
Zentron said yes, definitely wore several of the cutout masks.
Yay!
And he says, I should have chosen a less windy day to go out.
Oh.
And Dave Mattingly says, I had a friend in college who was 6'11". It was always funny to see him on Halloween and wonder, who's that guy in the cheap Popeye mask?
What? At the 6'11" Popeye? Wait. They say you can cosplay everything, but I feel like there should be some minor restrictions. 7 dwarfs, 5'5". I mean, come on, what's going on? That's adorable. I want to see a picture. If you can find a picture anywhere, Dave, of a 6'11" Popeye.
Willow is she burst my bubble. She says no monkeys here, but you can get yourself a cute skinny pig, a hairless guinea pig. You know, I think that would creep me out, to be honest with you.
Really? They have hairless guinea pigs?
Yeah, they're called skinny pigs.
I kind of want one.
You want one?
I like hairless things. Is that weird? Maybe that's weird. I don't think it's weird.
Wait, you like hairless things? Did you just say that? What?
Okay. So
they get cold without hair.
No, it's natural for the ones that don't have it already.
No,
I look. Little sweaters.
I know from experience. You get cold when you don't have hair.
Daddy, I forget that your hair is like that till you do that, and then I'm like, what?
So I'm thinking, Aubrey. Okay. I've been watching this show on Netflix called Warrior. Great. It's based on Bruce Lee's writings, and it's basically what the TV show Kung Fu would have been if Bruce Lee had actually been allowed to star in it and produce it the way that he wanted it to be. Well, there's a gang called the Tongzi, and the Tongzi wear their hair they grow it long with a long braid, but they shave their head from here back. So they have just hair on the back, and then it's in a long braid. And I got to tell you, it looks so cool. I'm thinking about doing that. I'm thinking about doing it. And wearing the braid down the shoulder.
No, please don't do that. Please don't. Please, y'all talk him out of this.
Dave Mattingly says, when monkeys are outlawed, only outlaws will have monkeys.
Oh. That's very
funny.
True, Dave.
That's funny. Hey, for all of you who are watching and commenting on YouTube, do us a favor. Do what Chris Walker has done. Hop over to Facebook, our Facebook page, back of the cereal box, and give us a thumbs up, a heart, a smiley face, any emoji, and click the arrow button that is like a curved arrow. That allows you to share this episode to other places on Facebook, like groups or your personal profile, or, if you own some pages. So if you do that, if you'll go do that and share it, bring more people into the rec room. And when you give us a thumbs up or a heart or a smiley face or any emoji, or you post a comment from our Facebook page, we get a tiny little kickback, a little bit of money every time you do that. And that helps us keep the lights on. So that is very appreciated. And speaking of keeping the lights on, this episode is brought to you by Entertainment Earth. They are our affiliate partner for the best deals in action figures, toys, and collectibles. And you can visit their website by clicking the link in our bio. And yes, it's an affiliate link, but it doesn't cost you a thing. But if you do buy something from Entertainment Earth, it helps us out just a little bit. And they are sponsors of our next segment, Aubrey. My favorite part of Saturday morning,
Ooh.
besides the cereals and the cartoons, my favorite part of Saturday morning was the prizes from the cereal box.
Ooh.
It's what we call new loot here on the show. We would reach into the box and dig around for the prize. This is back when they had toys or games or those posters or tattoos or, whatever it was in the box. We would dig around and pull out the prize. And this morning, even though we're not talking about this show this morning, this was a great week for geekdom. And X-Men 97 debuted on Disney Plus this week. And so in honor of X-Men 97, I have this is it looks like a VHS tape with Storm on the front, but it is not a VHS tape. It is actually an action figure. And collectors, you're going to be upset with me. I take them out of the package. I've got this Storm on display in my office. This is the 1994 through 96 Storm from the X-Men animated series. And I pulled it off the shelf this morning in honor of X-Men 97 debuting. Now, guys, we're not going to do a full review. I'm just going to give you a 30-second review of X-Men 97. It was remarkably good. Animation was maybe some of the best animation I've ever seen. Storytelling was great. The characterizations were great. The score was flawless. It was a great kickoff to the, I don't want to call it a reboot, a continuation of the original series. So if you watched X-Men 97 this week, I'd love to hear your thoughts. So Aubrey, do you have any prizes from the cereal box this morning?
I do. But in my cereal box, even though I am, by the way, a hardcore X-Men fan from back in the day, it's embedded in my head forever. I don't know one ginger that didn't want to be that sticky-haired, gorgeous rogue, because I definitely did. But
you wanted to be Rogue over Jean Grey, Phoenix?
Yeah, I kind of liked how sassy Rogue was. She was really.
But she's not a ginger. She's a brunette.
They drew her with a lot of red highlights, a lot of ginger highlights, and a lot of her stuff. So yes, I kind of like that. But Jean Grey, I don't know. She always was so straight and narrow. I don't know. Rogue was just more fun. This is what I decided to go with today. I decided to go with a retro because you told me we should be looking for some older comics occasionally. So I happened upon this Valiant right here.
Yeah.
And I thought it went along with our theme.
You know, I see that. I can see how this kind of dovetails into M.A.S.K. Valiant's hardcore, and that's is that Deadshot or Bloodshot or Rye on the cover? I can't tell.
I think is that Bloodshot? Okay, so we're talking about old school here. Look at this.
So for those of you who can't see, Aubrey is holding up the splash page, and there's an ad for Relax. Pretend it's a game. Pretend what's a game? What is that an ad for?
That would be Sewer Shark.
Okay.
Sega CD Blast game.
Oh, Sega CD Blast. Oh, right? My gosh. That did not last very long.
Very old. Ooh, I gotta be gentle with these ones.
Yeah, that's Bloodshot. Okay. I don't know anything about hardcore.
This says it was printed in Canada, FYI. And this is volume number 5 from volume 1, number 5.
Okay, so issue number
93.
5. Yeah.
This is
93. I was
Voyager Communications. So
yeah, Voyager Communications was the parent company of Valiant Comics. Valiant Comics has always
there we
produced,
go. That is a pretty display right there.
Ooh, Future Force. Yeah, that's Rye and the Future Force. And you can see on that ad, Aubrey, she's holding up an ad for Rye and the Future Force. You'll see in that ad that Rye looks a lot like Bloodshot. Is that the right name? Am I getting that right? Is it Bloodshot? I think it is. Yeah, Valiant, though, has always been an underdog in the comics publishing industry, but they produce some of the greatest stories, some great stories. Dr. Mirage was awesome. Yeah.
It's a great stuff. One of my
Good
favorite
stuff.
things about some of these old comics is, of course, not just the great artistry that may have been missed because it was only done once in a comic, but also all of these wonderful ads and info.
All right,
from back in the day.
I'm gonna challenge you, Aubrey.
Oh.
I know you like collecting and getting vintage comics, but I'm gonna challenge you. To read them.
Whoa.
and recap some of the stories.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't mind reading them and doing a little video to post for our patrons.
Yeah, that would be
also,
fantastic.
If you're ever interested in any of these comics, you can contact Johnny.
Yeah, and you can usually find a lot of what Aubrey shows off at your local comic book shop, or if you don't have a local comic book shop, our other sponsor, Things from Another World, is a comic book shop, tfaw.com, and they can special order or go through their million book back stock and find you what you want. So tfaw.com. And that's a very cool prize, Aubrey. Oh, you're still center stage. She's like, take me off center stage, please. All right, so it is time for one of our favorite segments, our main topic. And before we do that, I want to just see if we got a couple more comments. Let's see. Angie Welfare says, and you got that storm from out of a cereal box. No, I didn't. But we can pretend. Sure. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
That's totally just the bit, but it would be amazing if you could do that.
Yeah. No, I got it about a year ago, and it's been in my office on the shelf. And so because X-Men 97 came out this week, I wanted to show it off as new loot. And Willow Skylor says that is a very gorgeous figure. Yes, it is.
It is.
And Zentron says, sadly, my new loot of a 1990s Flash Gordon cartoon DVD from France just got returned to sender by UK Borders and Customs without even contacting me if there was any import duties to pay. He's really gutted.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I've got the full 1970 to 72 series on DVD. And Dave Mattingly says, it still breaks my heart that Bruce Lee was kept out of Kung Fu. Yeah, a lot of people don't know he created the TV show Kung Fu, but television producers, they bought the show and he was set to star in it, but at the last minute, television producer said, no, America's not ready for a Chinese lead on TV. And they cast David Carradine as a Chinese character, an American as a Chinese in Kung Fu. And basically, Bruce Lee was shut out of his own show. And anyway. All right. So Zentron gives us the perfect segue for our discussion on M.A.S.K.
I was going to ask Zentron, did you see M.A.S.K in the UK? And if so, when?
Well, he posts the lyrics to the theme song, "M.A.S.K Crusaders, working all the time, fighting crime, secret raiders." You look.
It was a good intro, I have to admit.
That theme song was phenomenal. We're talking about M.A.S.K, and what's the deal with M.A.S.K? M.A.S.K was a cartoon series from DIC. This is the tail of the tape, folks, from DIC and ICC TV Productions. It came out in 1985, and it was created to sell toys. It was created to sell the toys from Kenner. And
there he is, the guy in the bike.
Yeah. So Kenner came to the table to compete with Hasbro. Hasbro had G.I. Joe and the Transformers. And so Kenner decided they were going to create a toy line that basically combined the best elements of G.I. Joe and the Transformers, and they created M.A.S.K. And the vehicles did transform. So like this helicopter was a motorcycle that became a helicopter, and Stryker's car became a plane. And look, it became a plane by just opening the doors. It was here's a picture of it in the background. The doors, it's like a DeLorean. The doors just flip open and suddenly the car can fly. Yeah,
I mean, that is the DeLorean.
Yeah, that works, right? But great toy line. And it really did combine the best elements of G.I. Joe, the 3 3/4 inch scale figures with all of their accessories, and then the transforming vehicles. And, you know, there was all kinds of other merchandise like the thermoses.
Who didn't love a lunchbox?
And here's some one of our Patreon's collections of M.A.S.K figures and vehicles.
So cool.
Yeah, very cool. They sent that to us. And here's Hurricane with his transforming hot rod. And
those colors, though, man,
I love it. Oh, I wish I had. And look, is it right there? It is in this picture of our fans' collection in the back, up on the second row. So, as a concept, I love this idea. I love one. I was a huge Kenner fan. Kenner is the one that produced the Star Wars figures in the Star Wars universe. Hasbro had created the Transformers and G.I. Joe, or imported the Transformers and created G.I. Joe. And those were the hottest toys on the shelves. Transformers, G.I. Joe, and still up to this point, Star Wars had a huge impact. So Kenner had this big market share. And so they wanted to compete with Hasbro. And so they created M.A.S.K. And of course, back then, there was no toy line going to go on any major retailer's toy shelf unless it had an accompanying animated series.
Or comic.
Or comic, or both.
Or both.
Usually it was both. And in this case, we got both. Now, so we got the animated show M.A.S.K.
Yeah.
Mobile Armored Strike Command, led by Matt Tracker.
It was developed by Terrence McDonald. And
I don't see that
an
anywhere
American television screenwriter. So it said it was developed by him.
No,
He
developed by
also worked
Terrence
on
McDonald.
yeah, he also worked on Star Galactica. If you see any like bleed over from the two at all in some of the fights and the electronics.
Well, put a pin in that. We're going to get to that. So, tail of the tape. Mobile Armored Strike Command is a special task force led by Matt Tracker. I called him Striker before. It's Tracker. Matt Tracker, who the M.A.S.K force operate transformed armored vehicles in their ongoing battle against the criminal organization Venom, not Cobra, Venom, an acronym for Vicious Evil Network of Mayhem, with an emphasis on superpowered helmets called masks worn by both the characters of both factions. So both M.A.S.K and Venom wore these helmets that gave them abilities, powers. It all came from the hardware. But Venom's primary goal was obtaining money through either robbery, extortion, counterfeiting, kidnapping, or attempting to steal historical artifacts, but M.A.S.K always found a way to foil their plans. Now, so Aubrey, you were saying it was directed by Terrence McDonald. What else do you want to add to the production of this, and then we'll get into the discussion of the content.
Well, I like the fact that if you really listen and you can hear that Sharon Noble, not only did she do Gloria, the female M.A.S.K member, but she also did Vanessa Warfield, which was the female bad guy. And she did the computer for M.A.S.K. So she was most of the female voices leads in that show. A very talented voice actress. I have some a little tiny bit of detail about the toys. They had some toys that were not always given. I do have a question though about people's opinions that actually saw this, because again, I did not see this. In fact, I saw the truck and our advertisement for M.A.S.K and I went, more transforming truck shows? I had no idea. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to pretend ever for you guys. But I will say that it's interesting that after the second season transformed itself from less crime fighting, because that is something that people talked about, and more auto racing, that it only lasted those last 10 episodes and it kind of just faded away. And I feel like maybe that might be part of the reason. I feel like it was a big shift. If I haven't seen season 2, but from what I read, season 2 became more heavily about auto racing and it became a lot less about crime fighting. And the whole thing in this first season is just Venom is trying to destroy and undermine just everything in our everyday lives, from power stations to creating antimatter rays and stuff. Is like it's like Cobra level stuff, honestly. For if we're gonna compare the two, but there was just an enormous amount of characters that Doug Stone did in this show that, I mean, we have to mention. When you've got a voice actor that's not just doing 1 or 2 or 3, but like, was it 6 characters he did? He did Hondo, Tracker, Dusty, Bruce, Nash, Bruno, Boris, and Maxis Mayhem. So he did what, 7 voices in that show in M.A.S.K.
Okay, you did a lot more study on this than I did, because I'm gonna go through some of these images and let's just talk about this for a minute. So, this was another ad for the toys. This would have appeared in a comic book centerfold. So
Nice.
Matt Tracker is the leader of M.A.S.K.
Yep.
And the leader of Venom is this basically Wilford Brimley is the leader of Venom. What was his name?
Is that Maxis Mayhem? Is that what his name was? It shows on that last picture.
Well, I couldn't download that picture that you sent. So, oh, are you talking about this picture?
Yeah. Miles Mayhem.
Miles Mayhem. Wow, I can't read that.
Yeah.
You got that big. All right, so Miles Mayhem. I never picked up his name in the show. And I got to be honest with you, watching this, I never understood why this guy was in charge of Venom. He looks like an army colonel who retired 20 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and why would any of Venom follow him? Because he doesn't look competent in any way, shape, or form. He doesn't look menacing in any way. He looks like my grandpa, and and so Matt Tracker assembles this team, and they all have their special vehicles. Here's Rhino the truck, and you know this little guy, the cute robot who was friends of the kid, and I can't even remember the kid's name, um because he
He's
was
the
so
son.
he's little Tracker.
Yeah.
And this egg-shaped robot
Scott
would turn
and
in
T-Bob.
T-Bob, Scott and T-Bob. He would transform into this scooter, this like unicycle scooter,
Yep, a
and
single wheel scooter. Yep.
Scott would wheel off to follow M.A.S.K to try to be a part of their very dangerous adventures.
So apparently T-Bob is short for thingamabob.
Oh, okay.
I love that so much. You say that way too much.
So I watched 4 episodes of this week.
Okay.
And you can tell how much of an impact it had on me because I don't remember any of the characters' names. I didn't find any of them memorable at all. As a matter of fact, I found Matt Tracker to be terribly boring. I did not find him to be a dynamic leader in any way. And the actor who played him, you said his name was Doug Stone, read his lines. It was like he was reading lines off of a cue card on Saturday Night Live.
He was supposed to sound like the guy next door, the reliable one.
Well, why would the reliable one have a secret? And you guys, I just found this show. I love the concept. I get what they were going for, but I found this show terribly boring. I struggled to get into the show. I didn't find any of the characters engaging at all. I just think that this is maybe the most overrated show we've covered. And I'm not saying it was bad. I'm not saying it was bad. I just didn't feel like there was any heart or soul or excitement in the characters and the actors and the production. It just felt like what it was, a 30-minute commercial for Kenner's toy line.
It did have plenty of one-liners and some sassy language that if I had a kid under the age of 10, I might not even let them watch it because there was some minor curse words in some of the episodes.
Wait, what? I didn't hear that.
Yeah,
as a matter of fact, go ahead.
No, there was some language. There was some language. And they kind of made, was it who's the character? There's a character that's consistently seems to have a funny thing with Bruce. Which one is he? He is Buddy. Buddy seems to be the way he interacts with Bruce. Bruce says something. It's a little deep. It's a little poetic. Maybe, it's a little life lesson, a parable, but it has to do with what they're talking about. And Buddy just flatlines with it and goes, "What's he talking about?" Okay. And it's not just in one episode. And then Scott who knows that his dad does this kind of stuff. We know he knows. We know he knows. They have a huge base, this really cool machine that comes down and brings their masks glowing to them to put on their head. This kid knows what's going on. He keeps getting in trouble.
Well, so here was my thing. A lot of these shows, when we're reviewing them, I watched them when they were first on. I'll watch a couple of episodes and then I'll put on if we're watching them on YouTube or Tubi or whatever it is, I'll put them on and I'll just let the audio play in the background. And when I did that with this show, here's what I mostly heard. A lot of reactions. A lot of music and a lot of explosions and very little dialogue.
The show is explosions.
The show is all about battles. And that's it. And I can see why a 10, 11, 12-year-old boy in 1985 was like, oh, this is the best thing ever. Because it was all action. No characterization, really no story, no discernible plot.
So apparently IGN voted M.A.S.K 99th best animated series in 2009.
Why? What?
Best.
Why?
Calling it one of the most popular cartoon toy marketing franchises of the 1980s, stating that it took many of its strengths from G.I. Joe and Transformers.
With none of the flaws.
Supposedly.
Yeah, that's what I just saw that quote.
Yeah.
IGN, yeah.
I don't know. Do you agree? I don't know. How about you out there in the internet universe?
In concept, yes.
Mm.
But in execution, I don't get it. Now, here's one of the problems I have with any animated show like this. When they use up precious storytelling time for transformational exposition. And so let's set the table here. Matt Tracker finds out there's trouble in the world that's being caused by Venom, and it's only Venom that they fight, not other crime, just Venom. And he goes to the computer, and the computer pulls the best operatives for this mission.
Mm.
And so they spend all that time, this Rhino would be, and blah, 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 and pulling them together. And then Matt presses the call button to notify everyone. And all of the members of M.A.S.K, they have this wristwatch that pops up the message. But these aren't they're not in like a barracks on standby or, part of a permanent team. These people are working regular jobs. You got one guy working at the pet store. Another guy is working at a car wash.
One of them is a rock and roll artist. So he's mid-concert, like 3 different episodes I watched. And he's like, hey guys, gotta go.
Yeah, they get the call, and whatever it is they're doing for a real job, paying their 9 to 5 bills, they drop right there and
a history teacher
leaves class.
A kid his sandwich in one of the pictures that I sent you. He's like, here. And he hands him the sandwich. I'm like, there's a doctor, and he's like feeding his fish, and he just like dumps the rest of the food in the fish tank.
Yeah.
And takes off. I'm like, wait, is this? We're not Power Rangers here, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, look.
They're adults with jobs.
I mean, Matt Tracker can't afford to put these people on payroll.
Well, apparently, all he does is stay, on the computer waiting to be called
on. This show exhausted me. Now, here's the cool thing. So, Kenner was eventually bought by Hasbro. So that means that M.A.S.K is now owned by Hasbro.
Mm-hmm.
And they have released several of these characters and figures through the Transformers line and through the G.I. Joe line. And there was at one point a project to combine G.I. Joe, Transformers, Visionaries, M.A.S.K, and ROM, and the Micronauts into one movie. And that was in development in 2016, and it
Yeah, there's
never
not.
happened.
Yeah, we've never heard of it since. So
And on paper, that sounds pretty awesome. What I would rather they do, I would rather that they introduce M.A.S.K into the Energon universe in comics. And the Energon universe is a combination of the Transformers and G.I. Joe. Reintroduce M.A.S.K in the comics and start reproducing these toys as part of either the G.I. Joe or the Transformers line. I think the G.I. Joe classified series would be better for these
okay.
guys. That's my thought. But because the toys were epic, I'm going to just say the toys were quality. Some of the best toys out there. And so on paper, the concept is just so sweet and it's so cool and it deserves to be revived in that form. But in execution, I just thought this series was just laborious and just so difficult to appreciate.
So apparently, if you want the full series, you can get the full set as of the 2011 in America. The full volume 1, volume 2, all of the episodes, supposedly. In the UK, Zentron, just in case you want to know, the single DVD set containing the first 5 episodes was released in 2004, but then the full collection was released, collection 1 and 2 up to 2009. So you guys should have it there too.
Now, Corey Flood comments, and he agrees with me. Toys equaled awesome, show equaled meh.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Corey. I, I get the concept. I love the concept. They just did not execute it very well, and I don't usually say that, but on this one, I was just way underwhelmed.
Now, I will say another thing about the toys. The thing I was going to mention earlier. So there was a play set, like if people know what the split second toys are. Um, it never appeared in the show apparently, but it did appear in a UK comic strip. Um, and it was the following. It was a M.A.S.K packing crate that opened to reveal an aerial attack vehicle, and it came with Mat Tracker and the Lasertron, which was a redress. This whole thing was a redress of the Ultra Flash M.A.S.K from Rhino.
So
And
Rhino is the truck.
yeah,
So this is Rhino. So and obviously they made Rhino a center point of every episode because it would hook fans of Optimus Prime. But they
yep.
they made a playset that included the Rhino truck in the packing crate. Is that what it's saying?
It says, yep, a packing crate that opened to reveal an aerial attack vehicle, and it was just a redress of the Ultra Flash M.A.S.K Rhino. So, um,
Wait, how? That doesn't make any sense to me because Rhino is the truck. Why?
yeah,
How
it
could?
says that it was a redress
Yeah, but
that somehow.
how do you redress a truck to become a airstrike vehicle?
I don't know if anybody has pictures of these.
That makes
That
zero sense to me.
right is so it's Split Second Toys is the place that it came from, and there was that one, and then the Venom that came opposite that or with that, apparently, was it had an exhaust that swung out from the side cannons. Its doors and wheels and hood burst apart when triggered by an infrared beam fired by Hornet. It was a blue redo of Firecrackers um, fit, and it had a camper shell. So came with Miles Mayhem. That one did.
Oh, so it was Grandpa's RV is basically what it was. Anyway, Willow is commenting,
Like that
says,
character at all, do you?
no, no, I don't. And Willow says this was a low budget GI Joe. Kind of. I mean, and um, it was low budget GI Joe, I guess. I mean, but it was. And Corey Flood says, I agree, a GI Joe knockoff, but it was intentionally so. I mean, this was a cartoon created to promote the toys created by Kenner
Mhm.
that were created to compete against GI Joe and the Transformers. So there's knockoffs of knockoffs, and the whole thing. It's very incestuous, and especially since now Hasbro owns Kenner and they own M.A.S.K. And Willow says, I'm fairly certain if you find the thermos in the lunchbox, it is worth some pretty pennies. Okay,
Ooh.
so if this were something that came out in the 60s or 70s, absolutely yes. But the lunchboxes from the 80s and 90s were plastic, and they weren't, back in the 60s and 70s, lunchboxes were metal, and they were embossed metal with the images, painted on. And when we got into the 80s, they did away with that. They went to plastic, and they just put decals
Paper
on the
label.
plastic. Yeah,
Yeah,
labels.
it was bad.
And if you find them today, most of the labels are peeling off, and the desire, or the desire among collectors for those plastic lunchboxes is not very high. So now the thermos might be worth more than the lunchbox, but I've seen these as cheap as $10 complete. So there's just not a big collectible market for the 80s lunchboxes, unfortunately. But so Zentron says Rhino's front grill could get stuck and not work anymore.
Oh.
Ooh, that's not good. And Corey Flood says, interesting, Zentron, my Rhino grill would not stay in.
Opposite problems.
And Zentron says that was another issue with the grill.
Oh, wow. So that particular toy with the grill, and if they used that for the remake of that one that I was talking about with Rhino, then that grill would have the same problem.
I guess. And Willow says they look like they are protectors of hazmat situations more than crime. Okay, so she's not lying. And I did have a problem with the style of these masks because they're big, they're bulky, you can't turn your head in them. And yes, they did have like special abilities connected with each of the masks, like levitation or invisibility, or like, and they shot these ray beams out of their eyes, and
those were crazy powers.
And I never really saw any like real connection with the character or the name of the character with what their helmet could do. And yeah, they look like hazmat suits. And what's really wild, Aubrey, is if you look at this logo, the mask on that logo is not.
It doesn't look like any of them.
It doesn't look like any of them. Now, that would be a cool mask for them to wear, that looks like kind of a superhero mask.
It does.
Instead of a hazmat
reminds
mask.
me of one of the like the Minibot shows, though. See if anybody knows if that reminds anybody else of one of those the other shows that you had listed off. The GoBots, is that it?
Well, Micronauts, Visionaries, ROM.
Let's see if we can compare the mask, and somebody can come up and see, because I feel like that mask might have been a redo from another show.
In the logo.
Yeah. That's interesting.
I don't recognize it from many of the others. And the other shows like ROM and Micronauts, they never had a series. But it could be something from Visionaries. Now, Corey Flood says Matt Tracker looks a lot like Duke and Miles Mayhem. Looks a lot like Duke, and Miles Mayhem looks a lot like Cobra Commander. Okay, so you're not wrong. So out of Mask, he does look like Duke. This is Matt
Yes,
Tracker.
I will say that definitely.
And out of Mask, Miles Mayhem looks like Wilford Brimley, but
Yes,
in the
in the
Mask,
mask.
and
Yeah.
he's the one that is second to the right behind
Yep.
Tracker here. He does look like Cobra Commander, and that was intentional. They're trying to capture that fan base. And let's see, we got some great comments. Tabby Cat says, I don't think I ever watched a full episode of this one.
Oh, really?
And Corey Flood says, you do realize this show was produced by DIC. What did you expect? Now, here's what's
wow.
here's what really interesting about this, Corey, is DIC took over GI Joe. GI Joe left Marvel Animation Studios, and DIC took it over for the last I don't know, maybe 2 seasons. And they may have even given it a different name. It went from A Real American Hero to just GI Joe. I forget. Anyway, so DIC did that, and then they also did M.A.S.K. DIC did Inspector Gadget.
I loved Inspector Gadget.
They did Pole Position, which we're going to be talking about later on this season, and that's the racing show, Aubrey. I think what you were reading is that some people may have gotten M.A.S.K. season 2 confused with Pole Position, which was a racing show with cars that were intelligent and looked very similar to Matt Tracker's car.
Okay. So, well, that was on the info for M.A.S.K, so someone needs to go in there and
I think
check that out.
Now, I could be wrong, but they were both produced by DIC. DIC also produced Mighty Orbots, which we're going to talk about again. We did an episode about them way back in season 2 of the podcast, but we're going to talk about them again. And that was one of my all-time favorites. It was a Voltron knockoff.
What? Okay.
But loved it. Loved it.
Okay, Voltron knockoff. All right.
Yeah. So DIC did some pretty quality stuff. But, I don't think this is a DIC problem. I think this is a cash grab problem by Kenner.
That is fair.
And Corey Flood says, I don't believe they cursed in an episode of M.A.S.K. You have to be mistaken. This would have been insanely risky for the 80s.
I'm going to have to go back. It was in the first 4 episodes. And I don't know if it was Buddy, but I believe it was, I don't know. It sounded like one of the bad guy or one of the guys that Doug plays, but I could be wrong. But I'll have to go back.
The worst they would have said is dang or butt.
I can't remember, but it wasn't the big words. It wasn't the big words, but for
they weren't allowed. It wasn't allowed on Saturday morning television in the 80s. It would never have passed the censors.
I wish I had written it down. I heard it and I was in the other room and I was like, what? But I didn't pause it to write down what he said exactly. But I would say it was along the lines of crap. Or something like that.
Yeah,
but even then, I feel like that was kind of risky.
Crap, dang, butt, booty. They could have said those.
Yeah, something like that was what it was. But a kid's curse word, not the big ones.
Yeah,
not the big ones.
Yeah, I could hear maybe Buddy saying, "Let's shoot this torpedo up his big booty."
Something like that. I was like, oh, okay, that's a little bit of language. So I'll have to go back and put that on there somewhere.
For those of you who are wondering, Aubrey always has this take about spiciness or spicy language. Let's put this into context. Aubrey led a very sheltered and very controlled childhood. I know I'm telling tales on you, but that's important context for everyone to understand about Aubrey. Her parents would not have let her watch this show, would they?
You know what? As long as they thought it was a cartoon, they would not have paid attention. So you get away with that. Remember, kids, be careful what cartoons you watch now, though, because not all of them are for kids at all anymore.
Very
A
few
lot of them are not. A lot of them are not.
Corey Flood said M.A.S.K was a C-list show with Jace and the Wheeled Warriors, Rambo, etc. It's above Defenders, but below Thundercats and Voltrons.
That's fair. That's a fair placement.
It's not above Defenders. What are you talking about? Defenders of the Earth was epic. That's peak Marvel Animation Studios, peak 80s superheroics. We're going to have to agree to disagree. George Bueller says, good morning, cereal boxers. Good morning, George. Willow Skylor says, GoBots, ? And I think she's asking about the masks. Maybe. So when you look at them in the masks, so I could see like the guy on the right, like third to the right, looks like he's got a bullet head. That is very similar to some of the designs of the GoBots. So I could see some comparison to the GoBots. But can we appreciate for a minute that guy with the metal bullet head, he's got the mask, and I think he's the guy who had the eye patch, because he's just wearing a T-shirt underneath it.
Is that Buddy?
No, that's one of the bad guys with the eye patch. And he always had an eye patch and a T-shirt. That's what all he wore.
Gosh. Okay, so we got a pirate on the team. Is that the Rocker? I just thought it was hilarious that
he's one of the villains. He's one of the villains.
Oh, okay. I just thought it was hilarious that mid-set, this rock and roll is like the lights are intense and he's just on his guitar and he's just like, nope, gotta go. Imagine if Beyonce just decided all of a sudden, hey, you know what? Dude, I gotta go mid-concert. No one's gonna sus. It's sus, guys. Okay, nobody is suspecting. So yeah, the storyline's a little shaky. It's definitely a filler. It's definitely fun for the toy fans and for the little kids. I think I could put this on for a 7 to 10-year-old and they'd be like, cool.
You're right, because it's all explosions and vehicles. George Bueller says, I was all in on the toys. At one point, I had a majority of the line. I still have my Thunderhawk with Tracker. That's pretty cool. And George, don't you agree that this is a toy line that deserves to be revived by Hasbro, either as part of the Transformers line or the G.I. Joe classified line? I feel like M.A.S.K needs to be rebranded as a division of G.I. Joe. Like the M.A.S.K Elite Force or something like that.
Yeah, that would work. I have to say though, if I had to choose one of my favorite bad guys, it's gonna have to be the lady. It's gonna have to be Vanessa Warfield with her purple Nissan. Okay, I want to see somebody cosplay this lady. Can somebody cosplay Vanessa Warfield and stand next to a purple Nissan, please? Thank you.
But was she the one in yellow?
In yellow?
Oh no, she's not in this picture.
No. Gloria, the good guy, she wore yellow and green. That's why I'm wearing yellow and green this morning.
Okay.
Besides the fact that it was St. Patty's Day last Sunday.
See, and here's the other thing. I know that the masks were designed to be unique, but to tell you the truth, I can't tell them apart. Ooh. I can't tell one character from the other.
Ooh.
Yeah. Hey, get off my lawn.
Y'all look the same to me.
Yeah. Zentron says here in the UK, G.I. Joe was renamed Action Force. That's what I was trying to remember. That's right. When DIC took it over, it went from G.I. Joe, the Real American Hero, to G.I. Joe Action Force. That's what I was trying to remember.
That's a big difference.
Corey Flood says, I noticed that's what's crap about M.A.S.K is exactly what's crap in G.I. Joe 1990s. There's a lot of silly scenes in both. Well, silly scenes are okay for the target audience. They weren't making it for you.
Yeah.
They were making it for 10, 11, and 12-year-old boys.
Yeah, it doesn't really hold up for the older crowd. I'd say some of the other 80s and 90s, 70s, even the 60s shows are going to keep you more entertained.
Well, and that was one of the things that a lot of fans get upset about. They get hooked on these franchises when they're kids, 10, 11, 12 years old or younger. And then as the series progress or are reiterated by different companies for new generations, fans expect that property to age with them. It's a big problem that fans of Star Wars had when George Lucas came back with the Phantom Menace almost 20 years after Return of the Jedi. They expected Phantom Menace for Star Wars to grow up with them and to meet them where they were in their 20s and 30s or 40s. And instead they got another movie intended for 12-year-old boys. And so that's what we have to remember about all of these IPs is typically they do not grow up with us. However, in many cases, they will be reimagined for the contemporary audience of that time. So like Voltron, Legendary Defender on Netflix, it's made for 10, 11, and 12-year-old boys, but they're 10, 11, 12-year-old boys of the mid 2000 teens.
Yeah.
And so our generations are more sophisticated. So some of the later stuff becomes more sophisticated. He-Man Revelation. It was made for hardcore Masters of the Universe fans, but it was also made for 10, 11, and 12-year-old boys. And it has modern production values and modern sensibilities, but still intended for a young audience.
Well, it sounds like M.A.S.K is actually ripe for a rewrite then, because it does not have enough story to really hold up to it being stuck in that time anyway. So it really gives them a chance to flush it out, give the characters more background, give them sustenance in their story, and really, give the audience something to latch onto besides just the toys. That gives them a chance to really turn M.A.S.K into something that it could have been.
Yeah, it would be great. And they've got a built-in toy line just waiting to happen with Hasbro. Zentron says he actually edifies you here and says, I believe Miles did say, "Damn you, Trekker," a few times.
Thank you, Zentron. I knew it was one of the lesser bad words, so it was probably damn, and it was probably more than one.
And I could hear that coming from Miles Mayhem's mouth. He's dirty old grandpa. So Corey Flood said she is right about the M.A.S.K 10-episode miniseries for the second season. It was like they were chasing after something. Okay. I just know how easy it would be to confuse any racing sequences that were produced by DIC to pole position.
Oh, yeah.
Dave Mattingly says, when you're bitten by a radioactive car grill.
You got to wear those fancy helmets.
Yeah. And Corey Flood said the bullet head guy drove the jackhammer.
Oh, there you go.
George Bueller says, I agree. Rumors are M.A.S.K may enter the Energon universe. It's something that fans really want to happen in the Image comics. To be introduced to the same universe with Transformers, G.I. Joe, Void Rivals, and M.A.S.K would be great. And there are rumors that it will happen, but it's still just rumors. And Angie Welfare says, Vanessa Warfield was awesome. Yes, Queen.
Woo! She was sassy.
All right. Corey Flood says, I was 8 or 9 when M.A.S.K was on, and it was really silly then. Sunbow Marvel G.I. Joe had some really outlandish concepts, but the tone was somewhat serious that it didn't offend the audience. Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I will tell you that a couple of the hallmarks of the show, I did think the animation was superior to G.I. Joe and the Transformers. I do like the concept overall better than G.I. Joe or the Transformers. To me, it made more sense. But just the execution just didn't, it left so much to be desired. I was bored to death by this show.
I feel like they could have, the bad guys could have taken over real easy with all of these guys at work. I feel like if they had just all waited till they were all busy or asleep, because, you know, assembling seemed to take a minute.
I know. By the time they got assembled, wouldn't they have already gotten away with the crime? I mean, come on. Because they're not alerted until there's a crime in progress by Venom. And it took them,
obviously why Tracker's like,
yeah. Well, and so you got all these people from disparate lifestyles and career choices, career fields. They got, the crime has to happen. It's in progress. Tracker is notified by the crime. He sends out the distress. He assembles the team. He sends out the call. They've got to come from wherever they are in the country to the M.A.S.K headquarters, sit at the table, get briefed, have the transformation with the helmets come down from the ceiling, and then roll out in their vehicles. By then,
when was the lunch break?
I know. By then, Venom is, they're on to their next caper.
Okay, I have to ask one question. Did anybody see the episode where our government helped Venom fuel up their hot air balloon?
I did not, but that makes perfect sense.
What happened?
Perfect
G.I.
sense.
Joe would be mad. G.I. Joe would be like, now you know you wasn't supposed to do that. I don't know, man. Like, this is that moment. I came back in the room and I paused and I was like, is the general helping Venom?
Well, that's what I'm saying. He looks like he's a retired Army colonel.
He does.
He's got friends in the U.S. government.
They don't know
that he's the leader of Venom. He's like, hey, this is General Miles Mayhem. I need a refuel on in Idaho. Stat.
Right? He's just doing his job, man. Just behind the scenes extra work is all that's going on there.
Any minute, I expect him to look at the camera and say, do you struggle with diabetes? We're just going to let Aubrey compose herself from that one. We broke Aubrey. Angie says, better than G.I. Joe and Transformers is blasphemy. I think the animation was better. The animation was cleaner, smoother. And I personally like the concept better. In concept. And George Bueller says, remember, they were not a rapid response team.
No rapid. No rapid. Nope. He's got to get off the tour bus mid, like, guys, you got to leave me in the desert. And I know we're going somewhere, but I've been called into other work.
And how does he get there? He jumps off the tour bus. There was one guy, he's sitting in traffic at a traffic light. He gets the call. He jumps out of his car and walks away. I'm like, what are you doing? Are you just parked across the street from the headquarters? Is there a teleportation device? Is there some kind of boom tube or something? Or I mean, how are you getting to the M.A.S.K headquarters when you leave your car sitting at the stoplight? When you jump off the tour bus in the middle of the desert? Where are you going? What?
Bob, he did it again. Are we going to be able to get him back for the next concert? I don't know, man. I don't know.
If we get away with this, everybody, donuts are on me at Dunkin'. But boss, won't that inflame your diabetes? Oh, I'm having way too much fun. Hey, you guys, if you're having fun with us, if you're broken like Aubrey is right now, you might want to consider supporting our show. There's a couple of ways that you can do it. If you're watching on Facebook right now, you can send us stars. You can give us a thumbs up, a heart, a smiley face emoji, and we get a little couple of pennies every time you do that. So if you're watching on YouTube, jump over to Facebook and give us some heart emojis. I'm just going to let Aubrey compose herself while I'm doing this pitch. Or if you really like the show, consider contributing on Patreon. Become a member at patreon.com/cerealboxpodcast. You get all kinds of extras, exclusives, advance reviews. We just did an advance release of the review of the graphic novel Sensational She-Hulk. And I think Aubrey's done.
Sorry.
But patreon.com/cerealboxpodcast. $1 is all it takes to become a member, and we really appreciate that.
Remember to use your cereal carefully. You don't want to get the diabetes. Mr. Belvedere with the diabetes, guys. Come on. There's nobody else.
And Dan Ouncer says, well, they were mass crusaders working overtime.
Ooh.
That's in the song. That's actually in the song.
Good point, Dan.
Yeah, they had 9-to-5 job careers, and then they're moonlighting as mobile armored strategic command with a K. and but apparently their moonlighting job pays enough that they can just drop whatever they're doing for their 9-to-5 and just vanish mysteriously.
Oh my goodness. Oh.
As Zentron says, it is actually more realistic, as in real life, crime takes place, law enforcement comes, but if the criminals are gone, an investigation team is organized and they try to solve the crime. And wouldn't that have been exciting for Saturday morning TV? CSI Saturdays.
Oh, I see a whole new genre of cartoon happening right now in my head. Oh, much needed.
Yeah, if this show had been them investigating what happened, man, that would have just been a more of a snooze fest than it already was. And Zentron says CSI 80s.
Yeah.
But then if it was CSI, they wouldn't need the masks. They wouldn't need the transforming vehicles because they're not fighting anything. They're investigating.
I want to see those two together, man. I need to see goofy masks on CSI.
There's something about this concept that just didn't work for me. And that's it. That's it. Oh, anyway. Oh, Willow says, assemble at your leisure.
At your leisure.
Chat to text is broken.
When you're done clocked out, can you come and help us with this thing that just happened where people lost power or this lake lost water? Just when you get the time, man.
Yeah, here's the other problem I have with Miles Mayhem. He wasn't very focused because sometimes they were seeking technology, sometimes it was equipment, sometimes it was ancient artifacts, kind of like Hitler scouring the desert for the Ark of the Covenant.
Yep. The little Indiana Jones stuff going on here. I'm like, what are we researching ancient alien stuff?
Wait a minute. Aubrey?
Oh.
Skylor Skylor. Willow Skylor is going to have the last word this morning. Because I mentioned CSI Saturday mornings. We already had that. That would make Scooby-Doo better. Scooby-Doo was CSI Saturday mornings.
It was.
Oh my gosh.
That's why the whole generation likes CSI and stuff like that.
My mind has officially been blown. Okay, so Corey Flood is going to get the last comment.
Oh, okay.
The only thing I liked about Miles Mayhem was that all of his scenes were about getting money. He didn't want to take over the world. He just wanted money. Well, invest in the stock market, for crying out loud. Get a second job.
He was doing, yeah. It was, if it wasn't a certain budget, they wouldn't go after it. Apparently, you're right, Corey.
Yep. And Corey says Clue Club was very Saturday morning CSI 70s, which, by the way, Clue Club was a knockoff of Scooby-Doo. But yeah, wow. My mind has just been blown. Scooby-Doo, CSI Saturday mornings.
Great. I love
Holy
that so
crap.
much. I love it.
Damn you, Tracker. Anyway, I think that's it for this morning. I listen, Aubrey, I got to be honest with you. I was dreading this show this morning because I did not like M.A.S.K. But the reasons I didn't like it turned out to be pretty funny. Good bits. We got some good clips here. Appreciate you guys joining us in the chat. You guys really make this show a lot of fun. Actually, no, this was a long episode, Corey. We're an hour and 30 minutes. No, we try to keep it at an hour. We're
not supposed to stay on for 2 hours.
No, we have failed.
That's okay, because we love you guys and we love spending Saturday mornings with you. To be honest, I'm not lying here. Like, I look forward to this, even if I have never heard, because I've never heard of this cartoon before, ever. But I enjoyed this morning and learning about this. Definitely.
I sent her the links to the episodes into the Wikipedia and the image, and she just sent back this emoji like, what?
What is this? I don't know what's happening anymore. But I love learning about new ones, and I love being able to connect with new shows and see where the goofy, awkward may have started in certain things. There is some Doctor Who villains that would fit into some of these M.A.S.K guys. I'm just saying. If there's any Whovians or other geeks out there, check this show out. Even if you hate it, it's got some funny moments. Even if it's just between Bruce and Buddy going, would it say again?
Brad Parnell says, how do you go longer with less people on the show? It's magic.
Because we got Willow here still with us. That's why we're not alone.
And Corey Flood, but you always go past an hour. I know, but we never intend to. We never intend to. So Zentron, we've already done Filmation's Flash Gordon on a previous episode. You can go back and watch it. I made the statement, the declaration that Flash Gordon was the king of all Saturday morning cartoons. You can go back and watch that past episode. You know what? I'll post it up on our Facebook page. I'll post it back to the top so that you guys can go back and watch it.
Okay, and what is next week, Johnny? Remind us.
Next week is going to be, if all goes according to plan. Where'd it go? This is not good. The note is gone. The note gone. Oh,
wait.
All of those of you who are listening. No, in my notes. I it's still in the Facebook. Okay, next week is going to be Pirates of Darkwater.
Okay, so I have heard of this, but I have never seen it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to be doing while I'm getting ready for the convention. I'm gonna be Saturday mornings like I want to talk about this, but I have no energy. I'm gonna do it anyway. Probably a little clip I'll send. I'll see if I can send Johnny something. Oh,
Corey Flood says that's going to be controversial because Filmation's Flash is so overrated. Oh, Corey, you and I are going to have a rumble in the backyard over that one.
okay. You know what? I kind of want Corey to be one of those Patreon people that comes on live with us, so you guys can on the camera, so you guys can have it out because I want to be there for this. We got some gloves. We got some ding 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 and go.
So we have pole position after Galtar and the Golden Lance. It's let's see, we're right now at number 3. So here's the order of that we've got: Pirates of Darkwater, Black Star, Brave Star, Silverhawks, and Street Sharks. Not Street Sharks. Silverhawks and the Sharks.
Yeah.
Why can't I
I kind of wish we were doing the Pirates. I'm not gonna lie, in May when we're doing the Renaissance Festival and I'm dressing up like a pirate, but I'll wear it twice.
Okay, you know what? You know what? Then we're gonna mix it up. Just because Corey Flood asked to do pole position next week, we will do pole position next week, and we'll save Pirates of Darkwater for that position.
Oh yeah, Corey, we did this together. Yes, look at that pole position next week. Okay, I don't have any idea what that is, so I'll be watching that.
And yes, Willow, next week is Easter, but that's on Sunday. We do our show on Saturday.
Yes.
Have you forgotten so soon?
Anyone who does Middle Tennessee Anime Convention, MTAC, I will see you there, and you can be square or not, or you can bring some bunny ears if you want to. Have fun, and the kids are allowed and welcome Sunday morning. By the way, every Middle Tennessee Anime Convention for the Easter egg hunt. So if you do follow Astara, Easter, or anything like that, and you would like to gather some eggs with your kids, check out the Music City Sheridan. There'll be cosplayers out there. Bring your kids and gather some eggs.
That would be great. And Corey did remind me it's tiger sharks. And he says no one likes tiger. First day with my new tongue. No one likes tiger sharks. That's actually hard to say. Maybe that's why that show failed.
Tiger sharks.
That's why we're just doing it as kind of a bookend after Silverhawks.
Ooh.
We're going to talk about Silverhawks, but we're also going to touch on tiger sharks. So, because they were part of the same universe, Aubrey, there's a whole big thing on it. And next week, he says you will sing the pole position theme song.
Will you? Will you?
Yes, I will.
Yay!
Oh, you know I will.
Okay.
Anytime I know the song, I'm going to sing it, and I know this one. So,
oh boy.
Little dirty secret. I loved pole position. So
don't say it that way, Johnny.
No. I'm just whispering like it's a secret. Now, if I wanted it to be creepy, I'd say like, I love pole position.
No.
Hey, you want some candy? Come on over and watch pole position with me. That's creepy. There you go. You're welcome, Aubrey.
Next week, we will have pole position.
Ooh, you do great voice. Anyway, she gives great voice. Anyway, that's enough for this morning. We're getting way far afield, way out of control. Make sure you follow Aubrey at Miss Kindred Ivy on Instagram, and you can follow me on Facebook. Follow our show primarily. Go to our website at backofthecerealbox.fun. That's backofthecerealbox.fun. And make sure that you consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/cerealboxpodcast. And if nothing else, check out one of our great partners at Comic Books for Kids.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit cb4k.org.
And of course, we know everybody is waiting for this. Till the next time, love you, mean it. We'll catch you on the back of the cereal box. Ta-da!
It's like